Aquarius, the Ten of Pentacles, death and justice. They're not just knocking on your door today, they're inviting you into a sacred chapter, one where you become the keeper of a legacy that transcends time, not just a legacy of money, but of values, of vision, of a name that's waiting to be reclaimed, as if the spirit of your ancestors is calling on you to rise, to complete what they could not. This is a chapter closing quietly without fanfare, a farewell that can no longer be delayed, and a path ahead that clears, only if you allow the past to dissolve, like an underground current that has completed its purpose. It may be a project that once fed your soul, or a belief you once held tightly, but your intuition knows it's time to let it go. An unfair contract is being rewritten, not through force, but through clarity, not through arguing, but through the steady presence of someone who is no longer easily swayed. You don't need to prove anything anymore. By not resisting, you are claiming your energetic sovereignty, and that's when the doors begin to open on their own. If you cling too tightly to what once felt right, you'll delay a pivotal agreement, not just with others, but with your own future. But if you listen, a new door will swing wide open. Your voice, once ignored, will become the key. Your home, both literal and symbolic, will begin to reorganize itself. From the inside out, there's a hidden detail that you still haven't fully seen, not in the situation itself, but in how you've been reacting to it. Not in what they did, but in how you allowed it to shape you. Stay with me, because what I'm about to say next might just change the way you open and close the doors in your life. And if these words awaken something in you, write this in the comments below as a quiet vow to yourself. I honor the flow of my soul and make room for what's being born. Because when you release what's outdated, you're making space, real, grounded, sacred space, for new energy to anchor into your life. Now, dear Aquarius, don't be afraid when the things you once held dear begin to crack. It's not loss, it's a higher call, from a dimension where you made a vow long before this lifetime, that you would no longer live someone else's life. I place the cards between us like a sacred gate, and the Ten of Pentacles shines, not with luck or randomness, but with the light of a soul family that's been waiting for your return, waiting for you to reclaim your role as the keeper. To the right is death, silent, untroubled, not tragic. Just a hand gently undoing a garment that no longer fits, an invisible arm pulling down a curtain so that the light can pour in, on a truth that no longer needs to be hidden. You already know what has stopped pulsing. You, with your innate intuition, you know when a cycle has expired. The death within you isn't an ending. It's a return of roles that no longer match who you've become, a release of frames that no longer hold the expanding soul you are now carrying. And then justice arrives, not to judge, but to restore, to put things back where they belong, as if a new order is rising from the old fragments. This month you'll see it clearly. Something hidden will come to light. A voice once dismissed will become pivotal. A truth once denied will now stand tall on its own. And the most beautiful part, you won't need to fight for it anymore, because what's truly yours will find its way back to you. The next three cards fall out as if handpicked by the universe itself. Four of Swords, the sacred silence. You're not running away, you're stepping back to hear the divine. No one needs to understand your retreat. This is the silence your soul needs, to rewrite the chapters that were never allowed to exist. Then comes Eight of Cups, a figure rising, heart still aching, but ready to walk away, not because they've stopped loving, but because they've finally started loving themselves more. You're not walking out of a door, you're walking out of a loop. And then, in the mystical light, justice returns, not as a judgment, but as the universe, gently nodding its head. Everything is being rearranged, not to help you win, but to bring you back into alignment with the energy you've finally become ready to hold. If you're still here, still listening, I know your soul has remembered something. Even if it hasn't been spoken in a very long time, you didn't arrive here by accident. This video, this message, this moment is not random. It's a reminder. You were chosen to restructure a current, not to preserve the old, but to channel it into a new form of light. If you're ready, write this down in the comments below. I choose to step out of outdated patterns and live true to my soul's vision. And if you need, I'll wait for you on the other side of the gate, where Aquarius is no longer just the observer, but the guide. There were places that once felt like home, places you thought you'd always belong, but now, They feel too tight for your heartbeat. They no longer match your current vibration. And no matter how much love you hold, you're beginning to understand your greatest loyalty must always be to your inner truth. You're not leaving because you're hurt, not because you're angry, not out of resentment, but because you've simply outgrown the version of you that needed that place. This departure carries gratitude, not bitterness, and because you're walking away with a heart that's been awakened. The Six of Wands appears, the card of silent victory, places a crown upon your head, one that no one can take away. They will have to face a version of you, more mature, more quiet, and powerful enough to make those who once saw you as soft step back, not because you're trying to prove anything, but because your presence now carries the energy of someone who knows their limits and has chosen never again to live in silence. This isn't pride, it's self-respect, and it suits you beautifully. Aquarius, let me place my hand on the table for a moment, because I feel something deeply. This month carries symbolic funerals, not because someone has died, but because you are finally burying the old frameworks, old definitions, old connections that no longer hold you with love, but with duty, a clear and sacred ending to a cycle that no longer supports you, a sincere surrender to the fear that once ruled you, a goodbye, not soaked in tears, but whispered like a soft exhale. Don't fear the word farewell. Burial, at its core, is a sacred ritual that opens the way for new life. A tree cannot bloom until you dare to prune the dead branches, and you, Aquarius, are the one now learning to hold the scissors. Without trembling, symbolic death doesn't destroy you, it frees you to rise higher, to see clearer, to no longer be bound by expired agreements. And then, the Six of Cups arrives, together with the Judgment card, as if the spirits of your ancestors are sitting at the table, nodding quietly, inviting you to listen. Old memories rise, unspoken words, silent compromises that once left you bruised inside, moments where you had to bite your tongue just to keep the peace. Now they seek a witness who can look back without bitterness. That witness is you, not to carry the weight of anyone's past, but to give things their rightful names, not to judge, but to acknowledge, not to reopen wounds, but to let go with sovereignty. When you finally rise and say, "This is mine," that is no longer my responsibility. That is when the past is released. That's when healing stops being a concept and becomes a wave of truth, flowing between you and those who once hurt you, cleansing you, and blessing even the ones who haven't yet entered your life. And if your throat tightens as you hear this, it's not weakness. It's a signal you are not alone. Bloodlines are flowing toward you, and an invisible hand flips over the next three cards: King of Pentacles, the Tower, and the Ace of Cups. The message is now crystal clear, and I'm glad it is, because I know you need something real, not just words that sound nice. The King of Pentacles brings you grounding, fair contracts, payments on time, projects that are no longer delayed, but scheduled with real commitment. What once only existed on paper is starting to come to life. You no longer need to carry it all alone. You're beginning to feel supported, not out of pity, but out of worthiness. But before any of that could arrive, the Tower had to do its job. And no, it didn't fall at random. It collapsed because the old structure was already rotting. A secret was revealed. A situation exposed. A familiar connection could no longer hold even the minimum respect. A crack appeared in the place you thought was safe, and when the dust settled, when you sat with yourself, in silence, the Ace of Cups emerged. A clear cup of tea, holding forgiveness, a new beginning, and the quiet softness you've been longing for, but didn't dare admit. It's love without pleading, kindness not from someone else, but from within you, as you finally learn to forgive yourself. A beginning of the heart, not flashy like fireworks, but warm enough to soothe the hands that have been cold for far too long. A kind of light that doesn't blind, but gently seeps in. Material, emotional, and spiritual threads are weaving through your life now, so clearly. Even your dreams are becoming sharper. Your intuition, which you often ignored for the sake of logic, is rising strong again. Little signs are starting to appear. Over and over again, you'll hear the same word repeated in random conversations. You'll see the same number. Every time you check the clock, you'll smell something from childhood, right as you're unsure what to choose. None of that is random. These are the whispers of your inner moon, guiding you in a language only the awakened can understand. If you're still listening at this point, I know you're the one. You don't need to understand everything right now. You only need to admit one thing. I'm ready to live in alignment with the vision of my soul. And if you need a promise, here's what I want you to hold on to. You no longer have to sacrifice yourself to be loved. What's coming next won't ask you to shrink back, but to step forward as your truest self. Even when everything in your life seems calm, when relationships have settled, when your job feels stable, a gentle voice still echoes from within. It's time to let go of what no longer nourishes you. You know this, not with your mind, but with a quiet feeling that words can't explain, an ache in your intuition that's always been right. So don't carry bags that no longer belong to you. Don't keep playing roles you've already outgrown. Don't keep a locked room in your heart just because you're afraid of the emptiness. Emptiness is not something to fear. It's a sacred vessel, ready to be filled again with true abundance. Trust the movement, even when it demands faith, long before it reveals a destination. You were born with a gift to protect sacred space, to build spiritual homes, to guard the energy of those you love. And today, not tomorrow, you are being called to offer that gift to yourself. Wrap your arms around yourself, as gently as you would comfort a crying child. If goodbye brings a lump in your throat, don't swallow it. Let that tear fall. Let it have a place on the altar of your soul where all that is honest is honored. Because when sorrow is acknowledged, it stops being a chain. It becomes a teacher. And when the lesson is fully learned, you will never have to repeat it again. Listen closely now. This message isn't just for you. It's for the entire stream of soul lineage flowing through your body. This rebirth isn't just yours. You're doing this for all your younger selves. The frozen pieces, the untold stories, the inner children who were never protected. You're doing this for the ones you once loved, but never got to heal with, and for those who will come after you so they don't have to begin from the rubble. So let's close this chapter together with a simple ritual. Place one hand over your heart and the other over your belly. Feel your breath ripple through the waters inside you, and speak these words aloud as a sacred decree. I, Aquarius, lovingly reclaim what belongs to me. I release without resentment what is past, and I open to receive peace, prosperity, and a love that is clean and clear. May my space feel lighter. May my words carry weight. And may the path I walk no longer be stained by fear. This is my birthright, and I honor it. If your body trembles, if your heart feels embraced by these words, then you know you've touched a different frequency of your soul. There's nothing left to force. All that's left is to act in truth, with the vow you just declared. And then you'll begin to see. You'll see those who once ignored your voice, now leaning in to listen. The conversations you kept postponing out of exhaustion will start finding you, and you'll have the voice to speak with clarity and calm. You'll begin to receive what you once gave, but this time, in a new form, sincere, clear, healthy, because you've changed. The way you love and life always responds to that kind of consistency, like a mirror of the soul. Let me leave you with an image, like a compass for your heart, to guide you through hard decisions. Picture a garden you truly love. A true gardener knows when to trim, when to graft, when to water, and when to let the soil rest. They don't act out of impulse, but from love for the sacred rhythm of life. True love doesn't cling out of fear. It releases at just the right time so something new can be born. And now, the Ten of Pentacles becomes your sacred ground, the soil beneath your feet, ready for new seeds, ready for you to reclaim your right to plant. Death hands you a precise pair of shears, not to destroy, but to cut what needs to be released with respect, with timing. With grace, justice gives you her calm, her quiet poise, so you can balance shadow and light, giving and receiving, memory and intention. The Four of Swords reminds you nothing truly grows without deep conscious rest. And then, the Eight of Cups appears, pointing to roots that have long rotted, gently asking you to let go. But the Six of Wands returns, whispering a silent pride. As those first seeds begin to sprout from your patience, Six of Cups arrives like a familiar fragrance, not to take you back, but to help you continue. With reverence, then, Judgment tolls the final bell, closing the season behind you, and opening a harvest more aligned, more just. And the King of Pentacles stands beside you, laying foundations, offering time, anchoring safety, like a quiet vow from the universe that you will never be left without grounding again. But first, a tower must do what it came to do. It shakes the earth where roots once strangled life. It breaks down bonds forged in fear, It clears the room, so light can stream in, and breath can return, and after the storm, the Ace of Cups appears like a gentle rain, arriving not too early, not too late, just on time. Maybe it's a sudden call, a chance meeting, a door you thought had closed, now opens again. And if you feel resistance in that moment, don't see it as failure, see it as a sign that you are awake. True justice doesn't need to be proven, it arrives quietly, undeniably, in the way you walk, and if ever you feel overwhelmed, remember the Four of Swords again. Silence the noise, breathe, sit, and remind yourself truth does not scream to be believed, it just asks you to live in it. In your love life, the Ace of Cups stirs once more, no longer a distant promise, but a clean stream washing away the old entanglements. It is a beginning, not dramatic, not forced, but simple. Just you, returning to your heart. Maybe what's coming is the birth of a brand new connection, tender, authentic, unhurried, but strong enough to redraw the emotional map inside you. Or maybe it's a fresh breeze blowing through an old relationship, but this time you're not rewriting it with old scripts. You're both showing up unmasked. You'll know it, not by grand declarations, but because it doesn't ask you to abandon yourself. In fact, it will sharpen your clarity, it will affirm your uniqueness, and celebrate your truth. The way you care in details, the way you hold space for others, the way you need to feel at home, not in a house, but in the feeling of belonging, your loyalty to promises even when no one's watching. The love you give is not a wildfire, not a fantasy, it is a lantern that never goes out, a quiet place people want to return to. But because your heart is that vast, I need to gently remind you not to criticize, but to protect. Your time is sacred. Your energy is not meant to be consumed. Without return, you are now being invited to protect your own energy in the way you once protected everyone else's, not from fear, but because you have grown enough to know what's truly meant for you will never require you to betray your inner rhythm. What isn't yours will begin to reveal itself. Sometimes through a misplaced word, sometimes in a suspicious silence, sometimes like a breeze asking you to pause, and sometimes, yes, it will arrive as a collapse. A tower falling down not to punish you but to stop you from hurting yourself trying to salvage what has already died. Let this be your final benediction. If this message found you, it's because your soul remembered. You are not here to carry the past forward, you are here to carry the light forward. Let the dead be buried, let the garden be cleared, let your hands, tired as they are, become ready again. You were not meant to fade quietly into someone else's shadow. You were meant to bloom in your own divine timing, and you will. I promise you, you will. If your heart felt a quiet ache as you listened to this part, it's likely because you're standing before a decision, one that should have been made a long time ago. Let's end it not with drama, but with a simple act. With slow breaths and full awareness, write these words not for anyone else but for yourself. I honor my lineage and create space for what is new. With this declaration, you are reminding yourself that you're not drifting. You are being guided. You are not abandoned. You are moving forward with love and conviction. And I want to leave the ending open because your story deserves the unwritten. The cards have shown me the terrain where currents of energy are shifting beneath your feet. They have shown me the scissors not to destroy, but to cut with grace when you're truly ready. They've shown me the scales not to judge right or wrong, but to restore balance where it was lost. And finally, I saw the sacred cup still waiting for you to make room to be filled. But there's a deeper layer, one that only opens when you take that quiet step you've been preparing for in silence. A name must be spoken. A boundary must be drawn with calm clarity. A truth must be acknowledged so you can sign the next page in the book of your life with integrity. There's a small gesture that will open a massive door. There's a sign that will leave no doubt about which door is meant to be opened. So stand closer, stay present, because in the next chapter, I will help you see the hidden detail, the one that could change the entire outcome, and allow you to walk through the threshold of destiny confident, not hesitant. I'm keeping the cards in my hand just a little longer, because life is not asking you to rush. It is simply inviting you to be present fully with all your senses tuned. As if the universe is whispering, right now, wake up. Behind the curtain, the pieces are sliding into place. The final gears are finding their rhythm, and when everything connects, what you once sensed as a subtle fragrance in the air will reveal itself with a name, a form, and a direction. I see a small detail on the paper you once read but never truly saw. A choice already mapped on your spiritual chart. A sign ready to shine light on your next move without hesitation. And when that moment comes, you will know, because your heartbeat will no longer skip. And when the moon inside you gently whispers, it's time to reclaim what's always been yours. Then what the world once called chaos will alchemize into magic. In your water-bearing hands, every heartbreak will be recycled into healing. Because, beloved Aquarius, you do not avoid emotion. You move through it with grace, with wisdom, with an open heart. You're not afraid of seashells weathered by salt and time. You know how to pick them up, listen to their story, and distill their essence into soul maturity. When the tarot card sinks into the depths of your ocean, death returns again. Not alone, but hand in hand with the Four of Wands and Nine of Pentacles. Death asks for no negotiations. It does not stir panic. It arrives like a seasonal wind, unexpected but undeniable. It comes to purify, to end with peace before something begins to rot. Then the Four of Wands appears like an archway of flowers. A quiet festival after a long stretch of upheaval. And then the Nine of Pentacles, the mark of sacred independence. Not loneliness, but internal sovereignty. You've worked hard enough, you've healed deep enough, you've waited long enough, and now you don't need permission. You only need to step forward. A card light as the wind flutters in rhythm with a place your heart has longed for. Maybe it's a physical space, or maybe a moment of return to yourself. Laughter, warmth, doors unlocked. And in the center of what seems like a perfect scene, there's a quiet gap, not emptiness but invitation. An open seat for something you once didn't dare to dream. And the Nine of Pentacles, child of distilled water, becomes your mirror. Radiant, composed, and whole. Self-led but not cold. Abundant but not closed off. Author of your fate but still rooted in your origin. This harvest did not come from grasping. It came from your moment of surrender, from your ability to release with love. Because clinging in fear is far more painful than saying goodbye with grace. Then suddenly 2 cards land on the table like a gust after stillness. 8 of Wands and Knight of Cups. Messages are coming fast, unexpected, stirring your pulse. A proposal is forming, maybe love, maybe apology, maybe a gesture so sincere it brings you to bow. Not in weakness, but in reverence to a clarity that cannot be denied. But the form doesn't matter as much as the truth it brings. The universe is not leaving you on the edge. You are not walking alone. You are being guided like a secret current whose rhythm only you can feel. If you felt this entire journey move through your spirit, if you found resonance in these words not because of prediction but because of recognition, then I invite you to say aloud with dignity, with grace, I am ready to embrace what is truly mine. I am done repeating lessons already learned. I walk forward not as a survivor, but as a creator. And I honor the sacred rhythm of my own becoming. But listen closely, because tarot never sugarcoats its message. The 7 of Wands and 4 of Pentacles appear like 2 steady hands holding and guarding your precious energy. It's time to build a boundary around the dreams you're nurturing. Not everyone deserves an invitation into the kitchen where your visions are being cooked. Not everyone will honor what you're building. And not everyone has the right to step onto the land you've spent years helping bloom. Yes, you will draw admiration, but not all attention is light. Some are drawn to your glow without truly supporting your growth. The answer isn't to close your heart, but to set boundaries with a steady heartbeat, gentle but firm. This is your garden, and it is your sacred shell. Inside, only what nourishes you may grow, and anything that only drains you must be released with gratitude and no regret. Then, the Hierophant appears standing beside the Ace of Swords. A powerful pair. The Hierophant isn't just a teacher. He is the voice of your ancestors. Sometimes it's a whisper from an ancient soul. Sometimes it's a truth that hits home during a reading that brings tears. Sometimes it's a quiet look that suddenly reminds you of your deeper purpose. And the Ace of Swords, like a blade of light, slices through the last of your doubt, declaring that clarity can no longer be delayed. It might be a simple yes during a call you were hesitant to make, a contract signed, a conversation that unlocks a truth, a dream so vivid that you wake up already knowing what to do next. Don't dismiss these signs. They are the doors opening quietly, no creaking, no struggle. Then 3 cards rise, lifting the frequency of everything: the Sun, the King of Wands, and the Two of Pentacles. A soft light floods the once dark corridor, a joy that's no longer postponed. The Sun warms you. Like a silent embrace from the divine, it reminds you that joy itself is a sacred act. The King of Wands reveals that you're now living from a place of true leadership, not to control others, but to inspire. And soon, even those who couldn't understand you will begin to look at you differently, not with judgment, but with quiet recognition. The Two of Pentacles whispers, you're balancing the currents: time and emotion, responsibility and rest, ideals and reality. But you're not being swept away. You are the one carrying the water through the desert. You know when to pour and when to pause. This moment of shift is not just personal evolution. It is energetic purification carried through your entire lineage. I can feel the old hands behind you, invisible but present like a soft knock within your heart. You are not just healing for yourself. You are healing the forgotten links in your family tree. The stories untold, the words unspoken, the dreams that were once delayed, all of it is coming back. And in that moment, dear Aquarius, when your inner home feels steady, it's time to declare what's been ripening in your heart. Place your hand on your chest, take a deep breath, and speak, not for anyone else, but so you can witness it. I, Aquarius, rise in the clarity of my inner sanctuary. I release all that has completed its cycle. I open my heart to a new chapter, without control, without needing to explain. I am ready to become the highest version of myself, guided, illuminated, and no longer afraid of that light. I honor the strength of the souls who came before me. I listen to the ancient footsteps within, and I walk toward the light without fear, because I know something sacred is waiting for me to receive it. Say this mantra out loud. Let it awaken your soul. And if you feel the energy rising within you, write it in the comments below as an offering. I, Aquarius, walk in light and truth to seal this new frequency with my full presence. We continue this journey, not in haste, but with intention, because this month isn't just asking you to close something. It's asking for precision, for delicacy, for a careful weaving, like a spiritual artisan sewing a sacred robe, where every stitch leaves a vibration. Every choice you make, what you release, what you keep, what you accept, what you walk away from, all of it is being listened to, quietly, but deeply, by fate. This is not a moment for impulsive action. This is a moment to choose with full presence. Let your skin speak, let your body guide you. And in that silence, 3 cards emerge like a whisper from the dream world where everything begins. Temperance, 6 of Pentacles, Knight of Wands. Temperance is your sacred elixir, designed for you, Aquarius, the sign of the collective mind. It doesn't force you to balance from the outside. It heals you from within, between idealism and reality, between the shadows once denied and the light now rising. Pain made you deep, but healing made you wise. Temperance is also the unseen hand that gently pulls you out of the maze just before you give up. The 6 of Pentacles brings a quiet miracle, the right support at the right time. Maybe it's financial, maybe it's emotional, maybe it's just someone showing up to say you don't have to carry this alone. It's also a reminder abundance doesn't come to be hoarded. It comes so you can become a vessel, to give and to receive, not from obligation, but because you have become a river that knows how to sing. Then comes the Knight of Wands, riding in like a sudden gust. And yes, you may feel overwhelmed. You love stillness. You need time to process, but trust me, this movement is not chaos. It's a signal from a larger plan. It's part of your awakening. A door is opening, but it won't stay open forever. You are being asked to step forward, even if you don't feel ready. The 8 of Pentacles follows like a mirror, showing the path you've quietly walked. The sleepless nights, the unseen work, the details you tended with no applause. You built a temple, not from stone, but from faith and patience. Then enters the Emperor, no grand entrance, just presence, structure, a foundation, a roof, a place you can finally call your own, not because someone praised it, but because you know it's real. The Hierophant returns, no longer a symbol of rigid tradition, but the voice of vows you once whispered to yourself. A sacred agreement, a soul promise, a reconnection with your origin. No ceremony needed, just sincerity. And then comes the final wave, 3 of Swords, 10 of Swords, Justice. An old wound reopens. Goodbye never properly named. A heavy silence in the heart, not wanting to remember but never truly forgetting. The 3 of Swords invites you to name the pain, No hiding, no suppression, no pretending to be strong, and the Ten of Swords doesn't come to break you, it comes to say, you don't have to carry this anymore. Then, justice arrives, calm, not to punish, not to judge, just to return everything to its rightful place. You don't need to shout for fairness. Balance will restore itself. Karma doesn't need your push, it has already been recorded. The wheel turns again, and you arrive at the Nine of Cups. Joy, peace, satisfaction, not loud, not performative, just you, breathing deeply, and whispering to yourself, I did it. A kind of peace you once thought was too far away, now echoing in your chest. Then the Ace of Wands ignites, a new fire, a creative spark, a radiant beginning, not to save you, but because you've matured enough to make magic from your own life force. If you're still here, still listening at this final moment, know this, you have completed a chapter, and you deserve to begin the next one, not in fear, but in light. Write this as a sacred seal. I, Aquarius, honor the light of my ancestors, walk in truth, and offer my soul to the highest path. Perhaps what's coming isn't a surprise. Perhaps it's something you've always known. Project you held close to your heart. A calling whispered in your sleep. A relationship that doesn't overwhelm you, but deeply respects you. A purpose that doesn't shout, but cannot be delayed any longer. Every great beginning begins with a quiet tremor. And this time you're not chasing spotlights. You're walking toward inner light. Tarot invites you to pay attention to what seems small, because that's where the door opens. The Four of Cups and Ace of Swords appear together to remind you, don't close yourself off because you're tired. Don't ignore the cup being handed from above. Just because you've grown used to the emptiness, an old habit, a quiet ache, might be hiding a sacred opportunity. But the Ace of Swords, the blade of truth, is still waiting for you to draw it. It will cut through the fog. It will open the path to your true home within. Notice this, the recurring dreams, the repeating numbers. A phrase you hear 3 times in one day. Don't brush them off. They are not coincidences. They are the rhythm of the universe. Syncing with your steps, truth is becoming your ally, even if it asks you to let go of what once felt safe, to make space for what is truly yours. Tarot speaks of your tree with gentleness. The Six of Cups, the Ten of Pentacles, the Hermit, they wrap you in the light of good memories. Your ancestors stand beside you, not just in prayer, but in every decision you're about to make. The Six of Cups invites you to look back, not to grieve, but to gather the wisdom. A photo, a keepsake, a sentence from long ago might be the clue that opens the new door. The Ten of Pentacles activates a flow that has long been blocked. Legacy, both material and spiritual, begins to move. It's no longer stuck. It comes to you like a river once divided, now united. And the Hermit, not lonely as many think, but luminous. You become the silent lighthouse for others, even as you navigate the dark. What you do now doesn't just liberate you, it frees those who came before, those who never got the chance, and it blesses those who will come after, the generations looking to you as a quiet example. But tarot leaves one final note. The Seven of Cups is approaching. Choices will glitter like carnival lights, but not every light is warm. Some invitations are siren songs. Sweet, seductive, but hollow. Beloved Aquarius, your intuition is a divine compass. Trust that tightening in your chest. Step back if you need to. And when a spark of light touches something deep inside you, even if you're still afraid, follow it. 3 cards arrive all at once, like a sacred rite, closing one chapter and opening another. The Sun, King of Pentacles, strength. The sun is more than just light. It's a reminder that joy is power. You don't have to earn it to deserve it. You are allowed to feel happiness simply because you are alive. The King of Pentacles affirms you are entering a zone of grounded energy, not flashy, not loud, but solid as stone. And strength whispers. It is not force, not dominance, but quiet steadiness that unlocks the highest doors. You will challenge yourself, but you'll also surprise yourself. A version of you is emerging calmer, wiser, and most importantly, no longer needing to please anyone in order to be loved. And then, a moment of destiny. I shuffle the deck with deep reverence, and 3 cards declare themselves like a cosmic oath. Judgment, Ace of Pentacles, the World. Judgment is a soul call you've heard for a long time, but only now are you ready to answer, not out of fear, but because you finally understand. You don't need anyone's confirmation. Your body already knows. This is redemption, not punishment. The Ace of Pentacles brings you a real, tangible opportunity. A job, a proposal, an event, a sum of money, a connection that is honest, clean, aligned, and meant for you and the world. Oh, Aquarius, the world is a full circle, a cycle complete, a journey that ends, not in heartbreak but in wholeness. You don't need to succeed by the old definitions, you only need to breathe out and say, I've come home to myself, and if doubts still linger. Tarot gently whispers with the Two of Swords. Sometimes fear disguises itself as logic, but the wheel of fortune keeps turning, and it says, the cycle has changed, the door is open. Knight of Pentacles reminds you, what's arriving now is not fantasy, not luck, but the result of quiet perseverance that nobody applauded. And yes, there will be tears. 9 of Swords, 8 of Cups. These cards hold space for those nights you held yourself together. For goodbyes no one witnessed, but you had the courage to speak. You'll release an old story, a half-finished script, an identity you once clung to so tightly it felt like you. But it wasn't you, not really, and letting go isn't a loss, it's liberation. And once you let go, new winds will rush in, the tears will fall, but your heart will feel lighter, like a shoreline freshly washed after the tide recedes. The sun shines again. 6 of Wands lifts you, not with loud applause, but with quiet recognition. And King of Cups, that's you now, in full command of your emotional world, unshaken by others, able to love without losing yourself, able to say no with kindness still intact. And if you ask me, what's waiting for you next, I would whisper, like a grandfather speaking to his beloved grandchild, this month will return to you all that was always meant for you. But you must choose. No one can choose for you. You cannot enter your future still clinging to the past. Close that door with gratitude and open your hands. Receive what's coming, because what's coming has belonged to you for a very, very long time. If you're still here, at the very last breath of this message, leave this in the comments like a seal of fate. I, Aquarius, release my light and step into my mission with deep peace. And I'll see you again in the next chapter, where you are no longer the seeker, but the one who has been found.